Quite frankly, I don't really get involved in that or the reports or whatever the case may be. I've seen a lot of it, obviously, but I don't really, I don't really care about the reports, to be honest. Um, you guys know me. You guys know since I've been here, my 8th year here, been in this league 23 years. There's going to be another article tomorrow. Especially involving me. And at the end of the day, when I came to this organization, my whole mindset was about restoring, excellence, and the things that I've seen growing up, with the Lakers. Obviously, I didn't get an opportunity to watch the Showtime, but I know the history, and then in the early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe, and then what Kobe did, and, those couple runs with him and Powell. So, my whole mindset was like, how can I get, that feeling back to the Lakers organization, and where, when the Lakers and the Knicks and the Bulls and, the Celtics are good is great, so, and I was able to do that along with, our 14, 16 other guys winning a championship, bringing a championship here, that's always been my mindset. So, quite frankly, I don't really care about articles. I really don't. I don't care about stories. I don't care about podcasts and all that type of shit. It don't bother me. I'm 41 years old and I watch golf every day. I don't care about an article. I don't care how somebody feel about me. If you know me personally, and then you know what I'm about. These guys know what I'm about, and that's all that matters. I can care less how somebody feel about me.
Well, from your perspective, is this where you want to finish the season?
I'm good. I'm good.
Last two.
Everybody's crazy. Everybody's fucking crazy. I'm gone. See y'all later.
Bye.
Deadline is 2 weeks away. Brian Windhorst, LeBron James, and I have one thing in common. We all watch golf every day. Outside, that's where the similarities perhaps come to an end. Windy is back with us. We have 2 seasons here on Get Up. We have football season and we have Windy season. So let's dive into this. It's been an interesting story to follow all week. What did we make of LeBron's reaction and the big picture of it all last night?
Everybody's good, Greeny. Seriously. I mean, 8 years ago, the Lakers were in the midst of missing the playoffs for 6 straight years. Jeannie Buss's brothers were trying to get her ousted. Now she's gone from being worth 9 figures on paper to being 9 figures in the bank. She's ousted everybody in her family, and she's held on to power, which is remarkable. We've never seen anybody be able to do that, and she'll have power through retirement age. LeBron has won another championship in L.A., raised his family, and is building one of the most grand estates in all of Southern California, and he is happy. Do they all wish they had more banners? Yes. Well, LeBron and I wish we were playing Augusta this morning, but that's not going to happen. And if anything, this story, which is fascinating because the palace intrigue of the Buss family is like a royal family of American sport, and I loved every single detail. But this actually, behind the scenes, from what I understand, is having LeBron and the Buss and Jeannie Buss and Rich Paul actually come together and sort of clear any scar tissue that exists.
So let's look at the LeBron situation here. Again, I keep mentioning we're 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. He's 41 years old. He's still playing at a very high level. The Lakers got off to a very good start this season. They have tailed off a little bit as we showed the highlights earlier this morning. But still, I think a team with a chance to do something this year. So what does LeBron's future look like right now, short term and long term?
Yeah, he's actually just got 3 options, and it's kind of a simple 3 options. The choice will be complex, but simple. He can either remain with the Lakers. He's not getting traded, okay? He's got a no-trade clause. He's not getting traded. He can either remain with the Lakers at a pay cut, okay? He can go to another team, which would be fascinating, and we would fill the summer with that, or he can retire. The entire league knows these 3 options. Coming back for the Lakers at this salary is not an option. Not because he's diminished greatly as a player, but because the Lakers have to retrofit their spending around Luka Doncic. You do not need to be Red Auerbach to know that. This is simple, basic analysis. Everybody knows it. And I think there is a reasonable chance, 33-ish%, that LeBron comes back to the Lakers on a reduced contract and they build around Luka Doncic. This is not a championship team. I'm not sure they can be a championship team next year. 2 years from now, that's possible. Could LeBron be in the NBA 2 years from now? It's possible. But I don't think that there's a lot of stress about it. I think everybody understands the situation and the challenges. And there's new owners with the Lakers. They may end up making a lot of changes. LeBron's role in the team may just be one of them.
Yeah, Mark Walter, the new owner there, who owns the Dodgers, and obviously we've seen what he's done with that franchise. Quickly, and we'll have some more time in our second hour to dive more deeply into this, but with the trade deadline approaching, all of the conversation surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo, for people who aren't following it, what do they need to know?
Giannis is the trade deadline. There is really not a lot of other players out there that can move the needle. There is very small to no market for Ja Morant or Anthony Davis. The entire league is watching Giannis. If Giannis ends up coming to market, yes, you would have a handful of teams making offers. But I think if he were to be traded, it would affect 3, 4, 5 teams because there would be ancillary trades. All of these front offices that I'm talking to are sitting on the sideline watching it. If it goes forward in the next 2 weeks, you will see a flurry of activity and potentially a changing of balance of power in the league. If it does not happen, I think some of it or a lot of it gets put off to the summer when I think Giannis will have to deal with the situation again.
And so quickly, for the fans who aren't following it closely, what would be some of the usual suspects here? If Giannis does wind up getting traded, what are the handful of teams that might be in contention there?
Well, Giannis has 1 year left on his contract, so he would have the ability to help control where he would go. And so you bring in major markets and teams where he would have interest in being. The New York Knicks and the Bucks had brief conversations last summer. They would be near the top of the list. I also think the Miami Heat would be in there. But watch out for the Golden State Warriors, who after the Jimmy Butler injury earlier this week have a whole new set of circumstances. And frankly, it's not out of the realm of possibility they could put.
Good game. We'll pick it up.
All right, so LeBron's right. He's been in L.A. for 8 years. He's with Cleveland for 11, so he has spent a very long time there. Brian Windhorst now joins us here on First Take. And Wendy, what's your reaction to the way LeBron reacted to those questions?
Yeah, I think this obviously was a very detail-rich story, and when you put all that stuff together, it's a fascinating read. The Buss family is one of the royal families of American sport. It's fascinating, but nothing in there was different than anything that anybody in the LeBron universe or the Lakers universe did not know. This is not new information to them. It may be new to see it presented this way, and I certainly enjoyed learning about all these things. But, when the 7 years before LeBron got to the Lakers, the franchise was in disarray. They had the 7 worst years in the history of the franchise. In the 8 years since he's been there, yes, would they have liked to have put up more than one banner? Of course, but they won a championship. They've been to the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years. There's a very good chance they're going to go to the playoffs this year. It's been a success. And have there been times where LeBron and clutch sports create headaches for the Lakers that frustrate Jeannie Buss and frustrate the rest of the organization? Absolutely. Every team that LeBron has been on has had frustrations dealing with him and his representation and the demands that come along with him. And all of those teams would tell you he's worth 10 times that and that it outweighs it. So I'm absolutely sure that Jeannie Buss has been times when she's been frustrated with LeBron and vice versa. But neither one of them are going to want to end the partnership. Now, LeBron can't go forward making $50 million a year for the Lakers. He can, I believe, go forward as a Laker. He just can't go forward at that salary. And that's not an insult to him or an insult or a commentary on Jeannie Buss's feelings about him. It's a commentary on where the NBA is and that they're transitioning to Luka Doncic. The rest of this stuff is just palace intrigue.
Stephen A.
Wendy is 1,000% right with everything he said. He just left one thing out. LeBron was lying when he says he doesn't care. That's a lie. He cares. Okay, he always cares about narrative. He's absolutely lying about that. I mean, trust me, I know he cares. And he cares about narratives. And one of the biggest things that serves as a frustrating tool for him is his inability to control narratives, no matter how hard he tries. But that's about it. That's the only thing that you can say or find any shred of fault with what came out of LeBron James' mouth last night. The reality is that Wendy's absolutely right. Of course, they can be frustrating at times. Of course, whether it's the combination of LeBron and Rich Paul or clutch sports overall or whatever, it can be frustrating. But the bottom line is that it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's nothing really to write home about. And Jeannie Buss would be the first to tell you her level of appreciation for what LeBron James has meant to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, if LeBron James, and I think we need to say this, especially with Wendy right here with me, if LeBron James had arrived in L.A. immediately after the Lakers won a championship and he joined, that would be different. No, we have to pay attention to the fact that the Lakers for 6 to 7 years were awful. They were awful. And they did not resemble at all what Lakers law was all about. Laker Nation was ashamed of them. Dr. Bus, people would talk about how he probably rolling over in his grave looking at what's transpiring, the way that the family was acting and conducting themselves, and too many people, I don't give a damn what anybody say, too many people were trying to undermine Jeannie because they didn't want her to have the clout and the power that she had. They didn't realize the respect that she has throughout the league, how she was the board of governor. She was the governor for the Los Angeles Lakers all of these years, and she's universally respected. Now, does that mean that LeBron hasn't gotten on her nerves sometimes? Absolutely not. But not to the point where she'd be foolish enough to resent him, considering all that he has done for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm going to say this right here and right now. No, LeBron is not Kobe as it pertains to what he means to the Lakers. He's not Magic. It pertains to what he means to the Lakers. But my God, the level of appreciation for him should be exponentially higher than it is. Because of when he arrived. He didn't have to come to Los Angeles. Nobody else was getting there. When he arrived, ultimately, Anthony Davis arrived a year later. Let's keep in mind that's a Clutch Sports client. That's what Anthony Davis was. And you got to give Clutch Sports credit too. So when we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers getting to the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years, having a championship, albeit in a bubble in some people's eyes, which I don't denigrate, but others do. The fact is, LeBron deserves most of the credit for that. Not to mention Clutch Sports. And we got to remember that and show them the deference and respect that they're due. Again, what LeBron said, absolutely right in terms of, you know what? It's much ado about nothing, because in the end, he can be frustrating, just like I can be frustrating, just like everybody can be frustrating. If you're in any kind of leadership position and people going to throw arrows at you, and that's just the way that it goes. But his level of production on behalf of the Los Angeles Lakers and the way that he has represented that franchise needs to be applauded, not insulted. The only thing he did wrong was that he lied in front of the camera, lying through his damn teeth. That's why he's scratching his head so damn much like he had dandruff. You know, even though he had a do-rag on, because he's lying. Because when he said he didn't care, oh, that's a lie. He cares. He definitely cares. It's just that he's smart enough to know there are narratives he can't control. But that's it. He doesn't deserve this whole thing with the Bus family that Baxter Holmes wrote and what have you. He doesn't deserve scrutiny for family issues that existed long before LeBron James arrived and is going to exist long after he's gone from the Lakers and the NBA.
Very well said. And I think that's, go ahead, Wendy, add in.
Shay, Jeannie Buss is now liquid to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. She
Over
is
500.
still the governor, right? She's still the governor. Who sells their team for hundreds of millions of dollars and remains the governor? Nobody. Not only that, LeBron is finishing off like $100 million estate in Beverly Hills. It's going to be one of the best estates in all of Southern California. All the billionaires down here, LeBron's going to have one of the best. He's probably putting in a putting green now, okay? These are all very minor headaches. And not only that, selling to Mark Walter and his group is good for the future of the Lakers. So Jeannie Buss has left the Lakers in a very good position. The stuff with the family is fascinating. Peeling back the layers and seeing how Jeannie was probably pretty ruthless involving her family. I love it. By the way, Jeannie Buss has made television shows and documentaries about her and her family. So she can't look at you and say, please don't talk about our family. She talks about her family. All of this is interesting. Everybody is fine. Everybody is fine. The Lakers are not winning the championship this year. Everybody knows that. Enjoy the season.
Go ahead, Stephen.
The only people that's not fine are her siblings, because they don't have control the way that they used to. They're not synonymous with the Lakers like they used to be, but they got the money. I'm just saying, I'm talking about ego. Egos are hurt. That's about all. They all got paid, okay? She's just maintaining her position within the Lakers franchise. Still got a portion of ownership. Mark Walters pretty much owns the team, but he kept on board, which was a very, very wise decision.
Why is it that sometimes a loss teaches you more than a win? Is the Lakers finally finding that identity they've been missing all season? Or are we just watching another dramatic episode in the purple and gold universe? And what if I told you that despite the Lakers losing to the Clippers 112-104, this might have been one of the most revealing nights of the entire season? It might sound crazy to celebrate a loss, but when you see a team come back from 26 points down to within 3, something changed, didn't it? Will all that fight carry over to the next games, or was it just a momentary flash of wounded pride? And speaking of changes, when was the last time a fake AI post caused more conversation than the actual game? Because apparently, the Lakers world has entered a new dimension where distinguishing what's real from what's fabricated has become its own sport. Where does all this leave us in what's shaping up to be one of the wildest seasons in recent Lakers history? Before we get into this emotional roller coaster that's been the Lakers season, if you're into this kind of straight up analysis and want to stay on top of everything happening with the team, drop that like on the video. It really helps the channel grow and keep bringing you this content. The game against the Clippers on Thursday night, January 22nd, exposed both the problems and possibilities of this Lakers team. Luka Doncic finished with 32 points, 11 rebounds and 8 assists, but let's be honest, it wasn't an inspired shooting night for him. Just 11 of 27 from the field. LeBron James added 23 points and 6 assists, but what really stood out was the difference between the two halves. In the first half and most of the third quarter, the Lakers looked completely disinterested, like they were just going through the motions. Kawhi Leonard, returning from a knee injury, looked like he was playing against kids. Phoenix seemed with 24 points and reminding everyone why he's so feared when healthy. The Clippers opened up a 26-point lead, and the game seemed completely decided, but that's exactly when something interesting happened. In the middle of that disaster, two names started standing out in ways nobody expected. Shaquille Vanderbilt, who had been completely forgotten in the rotation until recently, came on the court like he had something to prove to the entire world. And look, he proved it. Vanderbilt finished with 7 points, but what really mattered was that +18 efficiency when he was on the court, while almost all the starters were in the negative. There was Vanderbilt doing the dirty work, grabbing for steals, bothering Kawhi Leonard on defense, and simply showing that intensity is non-negotiable. He had a dunk that cut the lead to 4 points and gave you that feeling that maybe, just maybe, the Lakers could get the result. JJ Redick has talked a lot about mentality and being ready when the opportunity comes, and Vanderbilt is a perfect example of that. From total obscurity to key piece in crunch time. It's almost a redemption story in real time. I believe if the Lakers want to compete for real, they need more nights like this from Vanderbilt. That guy who puts his body on the line, who accepts doing the things that don't make the headline but win games. And speaking of surprises, Drew Tim also deserves a mention here. The guy everyone thought would just be another development project is starting to show up. In that game, he didn't score, but that's irrelevant when you look at the impact he had. LeBron has publicly praised Tim several times in recent weeks, and it's not for nothing. In the recent win against the Trail Blazers, Tim scored 21 points on 9 of 12 shooting, showing that refined touch on offense and a game awareness that few young big men have. LeBron said Tim is a smart player who understands the game first with his head, and that's worth gold in a league where so much physical talent gets wasted for lack of basketball IQ. Since signing a two-way contract in November, Tim has been gaining minutes and confidence, and in the last 3 games, he hasn't left the court with less than 11 minutes, which indicates Redick really trusts him. Thinking about it, if Tim continues this, the Lakers might have found that utility piece every team needs. That guy who comes in and doesn't mess things up, who knows what to do without the ball and gives you options when the game gets tight. Speaking of things that don't mess up the flow, Marcus Smart has quietly become one of the most important additions to this Lakers roster. When they signed him in the offseason, there were plenty of skeptics, especially given his injury history and age. H31 people wondered if the former Defensive Player of the Year still had enough in the tank to make a difference. Well, turns out those people were wrong. Smart has brought exactly what this Lakers team desperately needed: veteran leadership, defensive intensity, and an understanding of his role that's been refreshing. He recently spoke about what it's like being a player headed toward the trade deadline, talking about the difficulty of building relationships with teammates, knowing someone could be gone at any moment. That's the voice of experience. Someone who's been traded twice in his career and understands the business side of basketball. I believe Smart's value goes way beyond his numbers. He's averaging 10 points, 3.1 rebounds and 2.8 assists, which are solid but not spectacular. What makes him invaluable is his presence in clutch moments. He pointed out that the Lakers remain undefeated when games reach crunch time, attributing that to veterans like himself, LeBron and Luka, who've been in those high-pressure situations countless times. The Lakers may be ranked 29th in three-point shooting, but when the game's on the line, Smart's playoff pedigree shows up. He also made a really interesting observation, saying that teams always bring their game against the Lakers, that opposing players' percentages go through the roof when facing them. When a guy shooting 20% suddenly shoots 50% against you. That's not coincidence. That's because everyone views beating the Lakers as a statement game. Smart understands that reality and has been trying to instill that awareness in the younger guys on the roster. The fact that he has a player option for next season at about $5.4 million means if he keeps performing like this, he could either opt in for a steal or opt out and command more money on the open market. Either way, the Lakers made the right call, choosing him over someone like Bradley Beal, who's been struggling badly with the Clippers this season. But not everything is roses when we talk about the Lakers, and that becomes very clear when we look at Luka Doncic. Don't get me wrong, Luka is a generational talent, a guy who at 26 is already carrying this team on his back and is making a legitimate MVP campaign. He was the top vote getter for the 2026 All-Star Game with over 3.4 million votes, which shows the respect he's earned. However, and here comes that delicate conversation, being the Lakers' best player comes with a burden that goes way beyond statistics. This article that came out recently discussing Luka's leadership touched on sensitive but necessary points. The defensive issue is still a problem, and there's no running from it. There are possessions where his commitment just isn't there, moments where it seems like he prefers to save energy for offense. But that ends up costing dearly when the game is being defined by details. JG Redick has been very diplomatic talking about this, mentioning that Luka has improved a lot compared to last year, that he's more engaged, more open with his teammates. But the truth is, when you're the guy, when you're the reference, your actions echo through the entire locker room. If Luka complains too much to the refs, and look, he does complain too much, it affects the entire team's mood. There are games where he picks up a stupid technical early and suddenly the opponent uses that as fuel and explodes on an 18-4 run, like what happened in that NBA Cup game against the Spurs. I believe Luka has all the tools to be not just the best player, but also the best leader of the Lakers. He just needs to find that balance between passion for the game and the emotional control that championships require. He's already shown at different points in his career that he can lock in defensively when he wants to. Now it's about making that the rule and not the exception. Luka is engaged to his childhood sweetheart, Amaria Golds, and they have 2 daughters together. So he's got stability off the court, which should help him mature into that complete leader the Lakers need. And speaking of off-court situations, we need to address the elephant in the room that somehow became news this week, Kim Kardashian. Yes, you read that right. In what has to be one of the strangest non-stories of the season, a fake AI-generated post went viral, showing Kim allegedly hitting on Luka after he joined the Lakers. The post claims she commented on a Lakers announcement asking if she could learn Slovenian, and that Luka supposedly replied, "No, please don't." The whole thing spread like wildfire on social media, with people genuinely believing this was real. Kim finally addressed it on her sister Chloe's podcast, calling the whole situation insane and clarifying she never even interacted with Luka online. She admitted she hasn't even been to a Lakers game since the rumors started because of how uncomfortable the whole thing made her. What's fascinating about this isn't the rumor itself, it's what it represents about being a Lakers superstar in 2026. Luka didn't just inherit LeBron's anchored expectations, he inherited the non-stop spotlight, the celebrity circus, and now the AI-generated weirdness that makes it impossible to distinguish reality from fiction. The fact that this fake interaction fooled thousands of people, including some media, shows how powerful and dangerous AI-created content has become. The post originated from a notorious parody account that's been fooling people for years, but the level of sophistication in these fakes is getting scary. Thinking about it, if a fake Kim Kardashian post is the weirdest thing Luka has to deal with in his first year as a Laker, that's probably a sign he's handling the LA transition just fine, even if the internet clearly isn't. Speaking of LeBron James and transitions, we can't ignore what happened with the All-Star voting. For the first time since his rookie season back in 2004, LeBron James was not named an NBA All-Star starter. Let that sink in for a second. 21 consecutive years as a starter, a streak that seemed untouchable, just came to an end. LeBron finished 8th in Western Conference voting with about 1.8 million votes, behind Anthony Edwards and ahead of Kevin Durant. When the starters were announced on January 19th, his name wasn't there, and that's a historic moment whether we want to admit it or not. Now, to be fair, LeBron missed the first 14 games of the season dealing with sciatica, which definitely hurt his visibility with voters. He's appeared in just 24 of the Lakers' 41 games so far, and in today's NBA where availability is increasingly valued, that matters. But here's the thing, when LeBron has been on the court, he's still been elite. He's averaging 22.6 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 6.9 assists on 50.9% shooting. Since returning from injury, those numbers have jumped to 25.8 points, 7.7 boards, and 7.6 assists. This isn't a case of him falling off a cliff performance-wise. It's a case of voters simply not seeing him enough to justify a starting spot. And you know what? LeBron's reaction to this was perfect. When asked about it, he basically said he doesn't care, that it doesn't bother him at all. No dramatics, no complaint, just pure professionalism. He'll almost certainly still make the All-Star team as a reserve when coaches vote on February 1st. But the fact that he won't be starting does feel like the end of an era. This season has also seen another historic streak end for LeBron. His run of 1,297 consecutive games scoring at least 10 points, which stretched back to 2007, ended in early December. Two legendary streaks ending in the same season feel symbolic. Like the basketball gods are reminding us that time catches everyone eventually. But I believe as long as LeBron keeps putting up 25 and 7 when healthy, whether he starts the All-Star game or not is completely irrelevant to his legacy. Speaking of legacy and leadership, the relationship between LeBron James and Jeannie Buss continues to be analyzed and dissected. That extensive article that came out detailing internal tensions between the two has sparked endless debate. According to reports, Jeannie was quite frustrated with LeBron since that disastrous Russell Westbrook trade in 2021. The franchise allegedly made the move mainly to please LeBron. But when everything went wrong and the team only won 33 games that horrible season, LeBron apparently washed his hands and didn't take any responsibility. The supposedly deeply irritated Jeannie, who saw in that a lack of commitment to the consequences of his own choices. The article goes further and claims that in 2022, Jeannie considered not renewing with LeBron and even contemplated trading him to the Clippers before he received that not trade clause in 2024. Also that issue about Bronny James, where Jeannie supposedly expected more gratitude from LeBron for them drafting his son, which she felt didn't happen. When it came time to renew in 2024, they say was almost reluctantly, understanding that not doing it would be a PR disaster. LeBron, for his part, chose not to seek an extension at that time, exercising his contract option and becoming a free agent at the end of the season, which obviously generates 1,000 speculations about his future. Jeannie has already come out publicly refuting parts of this narrative. Rich Paul also came out defending his client, and LeBron himself was direct when asked about it, saying he doesn't care what someone thinks about him. But the smoke is there, and where there's smoke, there's usually at least a spark, right? Thinking about it, maybe this tension isn't as destructive as it seems. Sometimes complicated professional relationships produce results because everyone wants to prove their point. LeBron is still playing at a very high level, averaging those 22.5 points, and even with all this reported drama, the Lakers are 26-16 and in 5th place in the West. If that's not professionalism, I don't know what is. Former Lakers scout has even come out publicly defending LeBron, saying he literally saved the franchise when he arrived in 2018. And that's not hyperbole. Before LeBron, the Lakers had missed the playoffs 5 straight years, finishing 14th or 10th in the West basically every season. Within 2 years of his arrival, they won a championship. That's the definition of a savior. And speaking of professionalism, finally, some good news in the medical department. Austin Reeves is progressing well in his recovery from that calf injury that's kept him out since Christmas Day. JJ Redick confirmed that Reeves is participating in 3-on-3 drills and that he looks like himself in those activities, which is an excellent sign. The next step is stay ready games, those more intense practice games that simulate real situations, and if everything goes well, Reeves should return sometime during this A-game road trip the Lakers are on. His absence has been felt big time because Reeves isn't just another player. He's that third name that gives you offensive predictability and defensive stability. Reeves was having the best season of his career with better numbers in practically every category. And he even had a legitimate campaign to be an all-star for the first time. Luka Doncic has already said he's looking forward to his backcourt partner's return, which makes total sense since the chemistry between the two is very evident. With Reeves back, the Lakers get that relief they so desperately need. Someone who can create for himself and others, who doesn't need to dominate the ball but is ready when the ball comes, and who defensively can hold his position against the best on the perimeter. I believe when Reeves comes back, we're going to see a very different Lakers Marty complete, Marty balanced, because let's be honest, playing with LeBron and Luka without a reliable third guy is asking for opposing defenses to load up on those two and make everything harder. Reeves' return could happen as early as Saturday's game in Dallas, which would be poetic timing considering it's Lucas's first game back against his former team. But while waiting for Reeves, the Lakers need to deal with the reality of the schedule. This stretch of games coming up is brutal. After the Clippers, they face Dallas on Saturday night in primetime, which will be Luka's first game going back to face his former teammates, a game that will certainly have all that emotional weight. Then comes the Chicago Bulls, Cleveland Cavaliers, who've been playing well, Washington Wizards, New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, and when they finally get home, they're facing the Philadelphia 76ers, Golden State Warriors, Oklahoma City Thunder, and San Antonio Spurs. These are teams fighting for playoffs. Desperate teams. Teams that won't make anything easy. Marcus Smart made that point crystal clear when he said teams always bring their best effort against the Lakers. If the Lakers don't maintain that intensity they showed in the frustrated comeback against the Clippers, they could very well come back from this trip with a disastrous record that throws them back into that turbulent zone that so marked the beginning of the season. And there's that detail that was mentioned in the broadcast when Dwayne Wade commented that he felt the Lakers were playing with heavy hearts because of all this situation involving LeBron and management. If that's true, and usually these things do affect, the team needs to find a way to lock that outside the court and just play basketball. Thinking about it, maybe all this pressure is even beneficial. Nothing unites a group more than having to prove that everyone who doubts them is wrong. And speaking of pressure, the February 5th trade deadline is here in less than 2 weeks, and the Lakers need to decide what they're going to do. The news circulating indicates that Rob Pelinka will work on the margins, looking for bargains in the market instead of big moves. There's an executive from a Western Conference team who said the Lakers are going to look for bargain deals and that they might accept long-term money if the player really fits well with Luka. The targets are known: two-way players, guys who defend and shoot threes, preferably wings and perimeter positions. Herb Jones of the Pelicans continues to be the dream target, but New Orleans hasn't shown any willingness to trade him, or if they have, they're asking for 2 unprotected first-round picks, which is a steep price. Jonathan Kuminga appears as a more realistic option, especially now that he became trade eligible on January 15th and is clearly out of the Warriors' rotation. The problem with Kuminga is that he has that reputation for playing selfishly and how he would fit in a JJ Redick system, which is super demanding and doesn't tolerate lack of collective commitment, is a big question mark. Keon Ellis of the Sacramento Kings is another name that comes up a lot. A defensive guy, cheap, doesn't need the ball, exactly the type of role player that fits alongside stars. Andrew Wiggins is also being monitored for a long time, and he would indeed solve several problems, especially because he's shooting almost 40% from 3 this season and can still defend multiple positions. The Lakers have about $40 million in expiring contracts this year with Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, and Maxi Kleber, which in theory gives flexibility to build packages. But the big dilemma is that Pelinka doesn't want to sacrifice summer salarium freedom unless he gets a player who really changes the team's level. I believe the Lakers are right to be cautious. There's no point making a deal just to make one, just to calm the fans. But at the same time, this roster clearly has holes, especially in rim protection and perimeter consistency. So something needs to happen, even if it's a small move that adds depth. And since we're talking about roster problems, it's time to talk about DeAndre Ayton, who's quickly becoming the season's big disappointment. The Lakers signed him after Portland waived him, thinking they were making a smart deal, getting a talented center for a bargain. Ayton is making about $6 million this season with a player option for next year. But lately, it's become clear that Ayton's reputation as a problematic guy in the locker room with lack of effort wasn't an urban legend. There's now a growing movement, including articles openly asking the Lakers to get rid of him before the trade deadline because he's not playing with the necessary intensity and is costing games. He's averaging just 6.6 points and 8.2 rebounds per game. Mediocre numbers for someone his size and talent. And the worst part isn't even the numbers, it's the body language. That feeling that he's not giving his all, that when the game gets physical, he kind of disappears. For a team that already struggles defensively, ranked 23rd in the league, having a center who doesn't protect the rim with desire is fatal. Ayton got poked in the eye in the game against the Nuggets and came back to play against the Clippers. So it's not even about injury, it's about attitude. And there are analysts saying the Lakers basically signed up for this problem when they signed him, because this behavior pattern was already known from Phoenix and Portland, but they bet that in Los Angeles, playing alongside LeBron and Luka, he would get motivated. Clearly, it didn't work. The problem is, nobody's going to want to take a guy with this reputation making that salary, so the Lakers might very well be stuck with Ayton until the end of the season, hoping some miracle happens and he wakes up. There's even talk about the Lakers urgently needing to move on from what some are calling his $1 million cancer before he ruins the season. That's harsh language. But when a player's lack of effort becomes the story more than his production, you have a serious problem. Thinking about it, maybe there's still time for him to turn it around. Sometimes players need a public shakeup to react. And with all this noise being made about his lack of effort, who knows if he doesn't use that as fuel. But honestly, I wouldn't bet on it. Ayton has been this way his entire career. And at some point you have to accept that some guys just don't have that competitive fire no matter what situation you put them in. So that's it. We're in the eye of the hurricane of the Lakers season, a team that shows glimpses of greatness when they mount that comeback against the Clippers, but can't sustain it for 48 minutes. A brilliant Luka Doncic, but still learning to truly lead while dealing with fake AI rumors linking him to Hollywood celebrities. A LeBron James in his 23rd year, still playing at a high level, but wrapped in backstage drama and seeing historic streaks come to an end. Marcus Smart proving to be the steady veteran presence nobody knew they desperately needed. Austin Reeves coming back soon to add that balance that's missing. A trade deadline approaching with few really impactful options available and limited assets to work with, and DeAndre Ayton being DeAndre Ayton to everyone's despair. The next few games will define a lot of what this Lakers can or can't be this season. If they can maintain that fight they showed in the fourth quarter against the Clippers, they might surprise a lot of people. But if they go back to that apathy from the first 3 quarters, the frustration will only grow. The Lakers are 26-16, sitting in 5th place in the West, on pace for about 50 wins, which sounds respectable until you realize that in this loaded Western Conference, 5th place might mean facing a 2nd or a 3rd round exit if they even make it that far. What do you think? Do the Lakers have what it takes to really compete for the title, or is this season already shaping up to be another almost